Hello and welcome to the Eastern Kicks podcast, a regular magazine programme about East Asian film led by me, Andrew Heskins, founder and grandmaster of EasternKicks.com, and James Mudge, our leading writer.
Hey-o.
Each episode we'll be taking a look at the latest films, news and festivals, often chatting to filmmakers and stars along the way. Welcome to the latest show. This time we're taking a look at Asian films screening at London Film Festival, which is running from the 5th to the 16th of October. Later on, we have an interview with the director of the documentary Liquor Store Dreams, So Yun Am. But before we get started, let's get to the important question. What are you drinking this episode, James?
Well, being up in Scotland, I've got a nice bottle of McEwan's Champion on me again, 7.3%. And I'm not long back from the pub where I was having a few pints of Tennent's Lager. About
lovely.
So, I'm not sure lovely is the word, but you could say it fits being in Glasgow. So. What do you got, man?
So I'm slightly lower than you for a change. I'm just on some Leffe Blonde at 6.6%.
It's a sort of classic anyway. You can't really go wrong with the old Leffe.
So on to the 66th BFI London Film Festival 2022, which is taking place from the 5th to the 16th of October. And this episode we're going to kind of chat around some of the Asian stuff that's playing. I mean, this probably won't take too long, will it? Let's be honest.
Probably not, man, to be honest. It's slim pickings. Slim pickings, I think is very fair to say. Slightly... surprisingly, I don't think pickings have been quite so slim at other festivals, and without being too shitty about it, there's not been massively good programming. Sorry, without wanting to start this off by damn it. You know what I mean, though. I mean, through Eastern Kick, we cover so many different festivals, right? So there is a lot of interesting stuff out there, and you expect someone like London to pick up some of the the obvious things which we'll get through, but. Outside of Cannes and things like that, it just doesn't seem like they've cast their net it doesn't seem like focused Asian programming, I guess is what I'd say. I guess what we're going to be talking about are films which have been largely just picked up because other festivals have played them.
We're actually we're going here already. I was actually kind of planning to come back to this, but I think we can
come back to it. We can come back to it in more damning detail later. It's just that's the most immediate thing which jumps out after you're rightly saying there's not much to talk about with the film.
I mean, the thing for me that I do see that is there are a lot of films this year from Korea or with a Korean angle or twist to them. As opposed to coming from anywhere else in Asia or East Asia at least. It's there are other countries available, I believe. Not to So we've got the headline film, one of the kind of headline films, which is the latest from Park Chan-wook. Decision to Leave, which is also actually is getting a release after. I believe,
not long after, a matter of days. After, so I'm not never a massive fan of that kind of thing, to be honest, as well, of the festival playing stuff which is just coming out soon and everything, but
I think we can kind of, again, we're kind of leaping into the sort of summary section, but there are a lot of films that are either that are being released very soon after. And to be fair, that's quite often been the case. That for a long time there's been stuff that's already had a distributor.
That's true.
Or I think a little more cannily, the distributor's been named within a few weeks of the tickets selling out for members, etc. Which may not be 100% true, but there's sometimes, as a long-time member of the BFI, that is kind of the way it feels. But
it's definitely
so this is, so to kind of start with Park Chan-wook. I mean, I haven't seen the film yet. It's sort of advertised as a thriller, channeling a bit of Hitchcock in there. You have got a great cast in there. You've got Park Hae-il from Moss, Amuse, and plenty of other films. And you've got Tang Wei as well from Lust Caution, and that's a great Cine Asia release, The Whistleblower, as well as many other as many other great films like Wu Xiao and all sorts of films. I mean, she is a great film. So we can't say too much about that, because neither of us have seen it, But I mean, Park Chan-wook is a reliable, always very reliable director.
I don't know. I'm a bit tired of him. Well, you know what I mean. I think part of this is just our, when we were getting into Asian cinema, he was pretty much the main man back then, with like the Vengeance films and whatnot and everything. And now, I wasn't massively impressed with The Handmaiden, and it's been a while since that. And I don't know.
It's quite a long gap. There's a TV series between, wasn't there? But it hasn't been a lot.
That's right. That's true.
What was your BBC English language TV series? But it hasn't been a lot between.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to watch it. But I think he's one of those directors who I really like the sort of nihilistic stylings of his earlier films and stuff like that. And when he kind of dropped them, and you said like Hitchcock style, which I think is exactly right. He's kind of like done Hitchcock in a Korean style, which is kind of like overwrought and overstretched. So I don't know what the running time for Decision to Leave is, but is it over 2 hours?
I can tell you now, it is over 2 hours. It is. Come on. Okay. It is 2 hours, and I want you to guess.
15. 2 hours. 15.
On the money. 135 minutes.
I knew it. 130. Oh my God! Even that just sounds like someone's dancing on my grave. So yeah, I will watch it because it is playing in Glasgow as part of this as well. So I probably will go and see it. But I don't know. I mean, he's such a talented director visually and everything. But I think his storytelling has it's not really advanced or gone anywhere for quite a long time.
I think that's fair.
And we're judging him against his other works and everything. We're not judging him against, lesser filmmakers in that respect. So I think it's fair to say that. And I think some of the I don't read the reviews. I just check the clickbait headlines. But the reviews have been pretty mixed for this as well. People saying it's one of those films where it does drag. I think people have said, and the plotting is pretty muddled. So definitely, keep an open mind. I'll definitely see it. Didn't like The Handmaiden too much. Because you got the point very quickly, and it just kept going and going and going. But as you said, Tang Wei's a great actress. I think that it's interesting that he's working with her on this as well, with that kind of Pan Asian cast and stuff. So
it does feel like that sort of thing is starting to happen quite a lot. As well. I mean, I think we talked about it before, but this idea that there are Chinese actors turning up with a Korean director. There are Japanese directors going off and
for Chinese actors, they pretty much have to. What are they going to do in China? I don't think. Although she got over her blacklisting and stuff, but you referenced like The Whistleblower. A dreadful film, an absolute bore of a film, but very representative of Chinese commercial thrillers. And China doesn't have an art house scene. So what else is? She's genuinely a great actress. What else is she going to do? She's not going to do anything in China unless she wants to play Chairman Mao. So, which I don't know if she could try.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man.
Lesser men and women have tried. For me, the film that really stood out for me, and I was hoping that this was going to play here, was the next effort from director Junai Jung, collaborating again with the amazing Bayduna, Next Sahi, which I know you've seen. I'm just putting off. I want to see it on the big screen.
I don't think it'll make a massive difference, to be honest. I don't think it's. I think this is a bit of a. It's not a. I'm choosing my words super carefully because I'm not going to say much. But this is more, not in a bad way. I hate what's it, I Daniel Craig. I Daniel Blake. That's probably one of those bizarre Freudian slips. But anyway, it's much more of that kind of like nuts and bolts type social drama type film.
Yeah.
But in a very good way, and I really liked it. But I think when I saw it, I'd not read anything at all whatsoever, but I hadn't even read the synopsis. So I think that really helped me with. I think it's a good film anyway, with a lot to offer. But I knew nothing about the story or the structure even. And then after, when I was writing up the review, I read the plot synopsis, and some of the plot synopsis I'm just surprised about how much they actually tell you about what happens in the film. So I think it's a film you either, it's going to work really well on a plot level if you don't know about it, but if you do know what happens in it, it's still got a lot of sort of social value and everything. It's not a million miles away from The Girl at My Door. I mean, it's a different subject and stuff, but in terms of her approach to the material and everything, obviously with the cast, but I just don't know why it's been 7, 8 years, whatever, since Girl at My Door, because she's, when you watch this, it doesn't really feel like she's been away. Almost, there's no change to her film style in a good way or anything. So I just why? Like, I know we don't have an answer.
That that's not uncommon for Korean directors to, for want of a better word, kind of disappear for quite a long time.
True.
I also do wonder if there is, I don't know if this one was produced by Lee Chang-dong like July's debut, but maybe there is a bit still a bit of a difficulty for female
could be
filmmakers to get that kind of, particularly with that sort of the kind of classic difficult second film, to get the funding to actually go ahead. I don't know. I mean, that would be an interesting question to chat to Jim about.
Yeah, I'm sure that would be the first question. Why is it taking you 8 years to make your next film? Especially since we're not talking about something which would have had like the massive production, post-production, or even money. It's a fairly low budget kind of film and stuff. So, but I don't know. But be interesting if she's at the festival. Maybe you can have a chance to have a chat with her or something. Because it would be interesting to know about that side of it. But it is a good film. I don't think it'll have the same impact as A Girl at My Door. It is more Korean in a way, and the issues it deals with. And because of the kind of filmmaker she is, she doesn't spoon feed you, rather like, this is the situation in Korea at the time. This is the politics. This is what's happening. Everything. Yeah. So, if you don't know anything about it, it's still a great film. But I suspect for Korean audiences, it would have come from a bit more of a kick in the balls. But it's a good film. It's definitely. I think I probably 4-starred it. I'm sure I did. But that's definitely going to be one of the better films. It's certainly one of the better of the slim pickings of Asian films film festival. And it's just hope it's not 8 years till our next film. I guess, man. And Bae Doona is fantastic as usual. And the young actress who plays the lead role is amazing in the film. But it's a very great film.
Because the young star from A Girl at My Door has gone on to a lot of films as well. So, so it seems Jung seems to be very good at spotting this talent and
definitely
where to go next. So let's move on to some of the other ones before you give away any spoilers to me, because I'm so looking forward to it. So we've got another. So we kind of if we go through some of the other Korean films that I'm playing, because there are a few. We have The Woman in White, then The White Car by Christine Ko, which is a debut feature film. Again, I haven't seen this film at the time of recording. I'm looking forward to it. It's a serpentine thriller. Described the BFI listing line, but BFI listings.
That's such a BFI way to describe a serpentine.
Well, also they use the phrase "the spirit of Fargo," I believe.
Even just the spirit of. Anyway, that's a different complaint. But
but I do think that it is. This will please you. Oh no, sorry. I was going to say it's under 2 hours, but no, it's 2 hours 5 minutes.
Why?
Another film actually which has a pretty decent pedigree is New Normal by Jung Bum-sik, who has been behind quite a few films in the past, hasn't he? So he's director of one of your least favourite found footage films, I believe, Gonjiam Haunted Asylum.
What a disappointment.
But he also did Epitaph as well.
He was one of the Epitaph guys,
Epitaph and Horror Stories 1 and 2.
Which I do love. I love all the Horror Stories films. The third one being the wacky one with like androids and stuff. But
this is another anthology type.
Oh, okay. Piece. Does he do so with different directors, or is he just one? He is
the screenwriter director for the whole thing.
Interesting.
As far as the listing goes.
Okay.
I believe it has 6 stories, but
cool.
All in less than 2 hours as well. So
Okay, well, I will definitely like to watch that. I'm definitely the less than 2 hours sold already, and he is good at short horror stuff from stuff, from the Epitaph and everything. He just dropped the ball with Gunjam because he didn't understand the found footage for him.
no one does.
No one does. I do. Anyway, I will. New normal. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll get. Well, it's not going to get a release. Let's be honest, but. I would like to see it.
You never know, but
we can take an educated guess.
Yeah, we can take.
I would like that.
It doesn't, as far as I know at the moment, it hasn't been picked up anyway. So moving on, we've got Jeong Sun, which is a part of the London Film Festival's first feature competition by Jeong Ji-hai, and it's a bold. They just describe here as a bold debut tackling the recent epidemic of digital sex crimes in South Korea. So that'll be quite cheery viewing.
It's just been a bunch of docs on Netflix and like that kind of, that subject and everything.
Yeah, so, I think this is as far as I know, it's a fiction
drama. Then,
yeah.
Okay.
But again, this is kind of plays to, and we'll come back to this, but this sort of mix of what are quite small films, and in particular, this is quite interesting and quite exciting from a new director, and the very big films that we already know have a big distributor, and I guess that's always a balance with any film festival, but it doesn't feel massively well considered. I think agree. Yeah, it's a random. You can tell when it's a random mix versus a considered curating choice for stuff. I think you can see. And the other film with the Korean connection is by a Korean American called So-Yeon, Liquor Store Dreams. And this is one I have seen. I don't want to kind of give away too many spoilers, but it's a really, I want to use a word like cute, which is actually kind of damning it with faint praise, but it is very nice. It's very nice in the way it presents. It is done from her point of view, which is from Koreatown in South LA. And her coming from a family who run a liquor store, and the fact that it is such a cliche in American films, from Do the Right Thing onwards, or actually probably even before then. So for me, it was a lot of stuff that I didn't know about with Koreatown, and how much a part there are events there where a young girl. A young teenager was killed in a Korean liquor store, which happened around the same time as the whole Rodney King thing, and kind of helped fuel some of the feeling towards that happened with the 1992 LA riots, and it's something that it was just completely beyond what I knew.
Interesting.
So she's currently in Busan. Her film is screening as part of the Busan Film Festival. So I caught up with her a couple of days ago, and this is what we had to chat about.
나는 처음 비해서 잘 모르겠네.
이거 포커스, 이게 포커스야.
아, 있어.
이거 진짜 조심해야 돼. 이것도 얼마나
알았어요.
비싼지 몰라.
사주면 되지.
됐어, 나
잘 나왔어요.
뭐 할까?
응?
Who would have guessed that a child of a liquor store owner like me would want to make films?
Hello, So-Yeon. Thank you so much for joining us for a chat about the film. That's absolutely fine. I mean, we can go into it, but I really enjoyed the documentary. Let's get straight into the questions, and obviously we'll talk about the film. But I want to kind of go back and ask you, when did you decide you wanted to become a filmmaker, and what spurred that decision on?
I don't know if there was... I feel like there's always a moment. It was actually when I watched Requiem for a Dream that I felt like it was kind of in my teenage to college years where I watched that film, and it had such a big impact on me that I was like, oh, I would love to have this kind of emotional influence on somebody, but obviously not the same theme or story, but something that is very true to me. And I think for me, I didn't know how to begin. So it just felt like a thought. And so it was something that I was just trying to figure out and work towards. But it wasn't until probably I went through several fellowships that I really learned how to tell a story and what kind of story I want to tell and what kind of filmmaker I wanted to be.
And I mean, does that kind of tie into the short film you made before this, Liquor Store Babies? You know, how did that come about?
Yeah, I was part of this fellowship called, it was through Visual Communications, and they run the LA Asian American Film Festival in LA, and they have a fellowship called Armed with a Camera, and I think I applied twice before, got rejected. And for me, I'm not like thwarted by rejections. I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. And so I think on the third try, I had this concept that I felt like, okay, this is pretty doable. This is close to home. And I made it work. And I think my editor and I think she just made it so much better, Jean Ream. And so we were really able to bring this to, especially two characters in a 5-minute short is very difficult to do, but it was something that I really wanted to, this was a story I really wanted to tell. And so I think our collaboration really made this happen. And I think after that, a lot of people thought the short was amazing. They're like, oh, can we see a feature film? And I think for me, I was like, oh, I don't know what that looks like. How to even begin that? Like, I've just made this short film. And so it wasn't, I mean, that's basically how the short film started.
And so then people are trying to get, saying you've got to turn it into a feature. How did you get to that point? How did you actually kind of go, okay, yes, I will. I'm going to start.
Yeah. I think because I'm a first-time filmmaker, I think the concept was so foreign to me. Like, how do I even begin? How do I go from a 5-minute film to a 90-minute film? And I think until I saw the ending of what the story could possibly be, and that wasn't actually until in the film you see Danny reopening his store, he rebranded it and really brought the community together. It was actually that event that I saw a possible ending. And obviously the story evolves in many different ways, but I think once that event happened, I saw, okay, this is something kind of the trajectory of the story I want to tell, just because I know with documentaries it could take so long, and I knew that I wanted to finish it in a couple of years. I didn't want to take longer than 4+ years. I was like, I need to like finish it in this time length. Yeah. And so unless I knew how the story would go and where I saw the ending, I don't think I would have ever started it.
I was going to ask you about that. I mean, because it is an interesting kind of way to look at it, because, on the one hand, as a documentary filmmaker, it's always you've got to kind of let things happen, but also you do need a direction to go in. Sometimes you see documentaries where events hijack the film, and you end up with something that's not a coherent story. It's not a cohesive story, and in some ways that partly happened to you because no way that when you started this, anyone in the world could have predicted that we'd have to deal with COVID, and perhaps it was a little more predictable, but the whole George Floyd incident as well, and what that creates, what happened off the back of both of those things. Who know that happen? But in some ways, it actually kind of helps you bring some of these ideas together. What do you think?
For sure. I think when we did not anticipate the year of 2020. I just feel like a lot of the issues that we were having as a society and just government-wise, and just I think it really confronted a lot of issues we had internally as people, as families, relationships. And so definitely we did not foresee that. But I think it was something that we always had to reckon with, that there was underlying issues that had not been addressed. And then kind of tying it back, hey, this is actually a very scary place to go towards, but it seems like I need to go there. And that was kind of what the result of the film was.
And so when you get into the process of making the film, was it difficult to get your family and friends to open up to you on camera? Was that something you had to... Were you always kind of filming them like that? Or was that something you introduced and had to get them used to?
They were pretty open from the very beginning. I think they always think, oh, what we do is not very special. Like, I don't know why you're filming us, and this is our day-to-day life. So for them, it didn't feel that interesting, and they're just regular people, quote unquote. And I think I didn't think they thought anything of it. They just were really open to me finding out about their story, and especially with obviously my parents and somebody like Danny's family. I've been friends with them for maybe 5+ years. Mm. And so we already had an existing relationship and kind of an understanding. And so I think with that in mind, they were pretty open, and I obviously found new information that I would have never found out from my parents and Danny if it wasn't for the film.
And the way they open up, I mean, particularly Danny and his mum as well, you know, they really do kind of let themselves be very open in front of the camera, in front of you, you know. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how much, I mean, it was kind of a more kind of practical question. How much footage did you shoot over the, you know, sort of, I guess, coming up to about 4 years that you were working mm-hmm. on this, and how much of an ordeal was it to edit it down?
I was pretty intentional when I shot, just because I knew what direction I wanted to go to. So I felt like with every scene, I said, okay, obviously I won't be able to predict the outcome, but I would need A, B, and C from this scene. So I think I felt we shot pretty quickly, but obviously because during the pandemic, everybody was a bit isolated. Some people even changed careers. So it was really up to me to be the major, I guess, main camera person. And so and I think that was the bulk of the film, is that I just had to go out there and get all the footage and get the moments that I needed.
And then the editing process, I mean, how was that? Did you work with the same person again?
No, I didn't. I wish Jin was on it, but I also found it was really hard to find a Korean speaking editor who really understood like our story. And Christina Sun Kim is our editor for Store Dreams, and she was so amazing. I think she just had to watch every single thing, even all the awkward moments with my parents. But I think she really understood and just was able to cut it pretty quickly and capture moments that I probably wouldn't have been able to do myself, just because she does also have, even though she's also Korean American, she grew up in Texas. And so I think she didn't really understand how much the LA uprisings meant to us and what happened and a lot of it. So I think it really helped kind of having a person who understood, but also have a person who has an outsider's view. So we could tell a story that's very relatable to everybody.
And I was going to come to that because I think, you know, I'm interested in Korean, you know, and Asian culture generally. You know, well, obviously I've got like the website, and also I'm actually particularly back in the days of the sort of that sort of black cinema of the sort of late 80s, early 90s. I'm quite interested in that. So I didn't know about this whole side of the story about the Natasha Harlins incident and the effect that had on Koreatown and you know how much that was a part of the 1992 Los Angeles riots. You know, how important was that to kind of shed light on that side of it?
Very much. I feel like it's surprising because I've shown the film several times and a lot of people were like, wow, I've never known. And I was like, wow, I guess I don't think I learned it in school either, but it was just something that as people that live in LA, we kind of just share information. And I think I probably learned that on my own through movies and things like that. But yeah, I think it was important just because it felt like if I didn't address it, then I was leaving out a big elephant in the room. And I feel like people would say, why are you not talking about it? If you're going to talk about everything else, you should talk about this too, which is probably one of the major contributors to why the uprising happened back in 92. I don't think it was just one incident of police brutality. It was like accumulation of many events that obviously unfortunate, but I think this is truly like a culmination. And I think it's like two minority groups kind of in one area that kind of, I guess, got the brunt of it.
Yeah. I mean, and
collateral damage.
Yeah. I think kind of, it's kind of, in some sense, it just seems kind of ridiculous between minority groups, but I mean, it's interesting to see that with the George Floyd, your feelings and your dad kind of swell up again, about what's going on. It's quite really quite powerful, So I mean, kind of pushing ahead, you're currently in Korea, and have you shown the film to Korean audiences yet, or is that coming up?
That would be the first time at Busan.
Busan, yeah. And so what do you think they're going to make of your film?
We were actually really shocked because we weren't sure if Korean audiences, especially for such a big festival like Busan International Film Festival, there's a lot of bigger films than our film, and so we were like, I don't know if anybody will come, but we actually we got 3 screenings and we saw that 95% of it was already sold and the second screening's already sold out. So that was really surprising to us. And I think I'll have to see when we get there, like are these people majority Korean people? Are they Korean Americans that came from America that are also interested? Or I guess to me, I don't actually know how much Korean people know about Korean American issues, especially specifically to LA and what we went through. And so I do think you'll give them a bit of an insight. And I don't know, we're just really excited, especially my parents are also here. And
oh, great.
They'll be able to, they'll be able to see what Korean people will also think. And hopefully they'll be able to resonate.
I mean, it's quite interesting because your parents at the beginning of the film seemed quite dismissive of your filmmaking aspirations, but it feels like by the time you get to the end, they've actually come to terms with that decision. Yeah for sure. Even when I think the most impact has been probably going to film festivals and them actually watching it and seeing how what a big deal it is. I think when we premiered at Tribeca, I think they just thought it was a very small festival that they were just going. And my mom came in her pajamas basically for the red carpet. And so I don't think they fully understood until we started showing it to people and the impact that it has. So now you're obviously you're touring. You're coming to London as well. Once you're done in Busan to screen a film here, do you have plans for what you're working on next? Are you going to stay with documentaries, or are you going to do fictional films, or what's your plans?
Well, actually, before I started Liquor Store Dreams, I've been working on a narrative feature like screenplay, and I think it wasn't until after I finished Liquor Store Dreams that I really realized like what I need to do to make the narrative version so much better. And I would obviously love to continue doing documentaries as well as narrative feature films, whether even features or television. I think I'm really flexible, and really comes down to what are the stories that we're trying to tell, and is it really engaging? Is it challenging? And does it tell a story about humanity with a lot of, I guess, heart?
So, I mean, obviously, this is still kind of, in relative terms, kind of early days for you. But do you have advice for anyone starting out as a filmmaker?
I always say tell the story that you know, because even if you think it's not important, it actually is. And because you are the best person to tell it. I don't think anybody, especially as a film lover, I don't know if I would have ever told this film if obviously I wasn't in my position, I didn't have my experience, but also if it already existed out in the world. If somebody also had this film, I don't think I would have also made it, just because I think I wanted to do something really, really different, tell a story that hasn't been told through a film before, but also because if I really think about it, when I say 80% of all people in South LA in the 80s were Korean, like all the stores were Korean owned. That's a lot of children. And so what are the chances? I'm sure there could have been another filmmaker in that batch, but I think given everybody has a very unique experience, and I always say lean into that, even though you think it might be mundane, there's always stories that are always universal, and just keep shooting because you never know what it will end up as. Because for me, I just started with a small concept. I didn't think it would turn into a feature-length film and that we would be touring everywhere. And so I just start small and just keep going. I think that's kind of what I'm also learning and telling myself.
And it's a really enjoyable film. So, I mean, thank you so much for the chat. Obviously, you'll be in London soon. You'll probably find yourself coming over to my side of London, East London, because that's where it's at. People don't bother with West London anymore. So,
okay, good to know. I'll write things down. I feel like my first time in London. I'm super excited. Super excited to go to the festival. So. Yeah, definitely going to do all the touristy stuff.
Yeah. You're bound to you'll do all the tourist stuff, and if you end up with any of the cool kids, which I have to call them because they're all kids to me now, are doing, then you'll probably find yourself in places like Dalston and Hackney Wick, which is kind of where I am.
Okay, so, very cool.
So yeah, and if you want any tips, just let me know. I can send you a few.
Thank you. Yeah, send me anything.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I hope the screenings go well at Busan, and maybe see you in London.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for making this work on short notice. I know that it was so chaotic, but yes, feel free to reach out to us anytime, Will and my team. And yes, we'll see you in London.
Great. Thank you. All right.
All right.
Enjoy your evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
영화가 뭐야? 우리가 보통 얘기하는 거, 느끼는 걸 보여주면은 에이 저거 영화라고 만들어서 시시하지? 이게 안 되는 거야.
아빠가 감독이니까 나 지금 뭐 할까?
So we'll kind of move on to some of the other films that are playing. So we've got a film from Koji Fukada. Yeah, somebody who's been, we know particularly from Harmonium.
That's him. Yes.
A Girl Missing.
Yeah.
It's got quite. It has been getting quite a few good reviews.
He's a festival. He's definitely a festival type of guy with his films and stuff. Not massive fan. I didn't like Harmonium. I remember being excited to watch Harmonium, and then having a few drinks before it, and then just being that's what I kind of associate. It was very ponderous, Harmonium. But I don't know about and obviously I haven't seen this one yet. So
Love Life. So we've got that, and we've also got Sho Miyake, who with Small, Slow but Steady, which is another one of these kind of sports films. And actually, the first were a couple of sports films in there. So this is a deaf aspiring boxer.
Okay. Sounds very like the kind of Hong Kong films we've been pushed towards of late,
I mean, there have been some other Japanese ones as well, but I mean, this show has done things like And Your Bird Can Sing, and he also did the recent Ju-on Origins series as well.
The series, I like that. That was a really good series, actually. Yeah, and
you kind of it's good for people to kind of be mixing around with genres, I think, rather than getting stuck with anything too.
Well, no, sure. I mean, if it's another like aspiring underdog sports drama, I'm probably not going to check it out, to be honest. But I did really. Well, come on, we've had a lot of those. Enough to fill my gullet, but I did like that Ju-on Origins series. It was surprisingly good.
And another sports film, but this time from Thailand, is our old friend Narapol, with his Fast and Feel Love. I have seen it. Again, it was over 2 hours, which is doesn't really work for the sort of film it is. So it is. I'm not sure if it's meant to be. It is a comedy, and it's very kind of, if anything, kind of in that sort of Hong Kong style of the Moleto kind of very madcap kind of stuff. I really wanted to like it more, but and it should have done. The sport it's about is beer cup stacking, so it should be completely stupid.
A sport. Sorry,
as a sport.
I've heard the name of the film, but I don't know anything about it. And I was picturing. No, I wasn't picking beer cup stuff. I didn't know that was a sport, but fair enough.
Well, it appears to be, but this has this very juvenile guy who seems to only have kids as his opponents, and it's really it's about sort of but I mean, at least those films are about 90 minutes. They tend to be, and it also there is a more serious side to this. There's the lead actress in the film is actually kind of underused. You kind of think so. She's kind of his girlfriend, and she almost comes across at the beginning like she has this kind of Machiavellian plan. In fact, she just seems to be supporting her boyfriend, kind of do what he likes, basically, and not really make any money. And it is about that sort of where relationships want to go. So it does it kind of pulls aside to the serious stuff, but then it goes back into the very kind of madcap comedy. And for me, I know you get a bit of that with some of the Molo too sometimes, but it doesn't pull you out the same way. And I wasn't it. And again, this is very much the kind of thing you get it with these sort of comedies where they use the music to kind of hammer home the joke. Right, but this one basically does it. Yeah. You kind of like the piano music, and it kind of goes into a bit of rock. Kind of hammer, And this one does it way too much. It kind of like every joke is kind of done that way. So it actually kind of felt quite exhausting, really exhausting watching it.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Even hearing about it, I'm exhausted. So.
And then again, we've got another kind of quite interesting film, which is getting quite a good press by Makbul Mubarak. I might try saying that again. Makbul Mubarak, who makes a debut with Autobiography, which is an Indonesian film, but a very multinational production. And it's the sense that he's focusing on a journey of a young man as he begins to taste power for the first time, with brutal results.
That's so vague still.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously check out the site for more information on it, but it has been getting quite a lot of interesting press. There are quite a few documentaries. There are quite a few about China. Funnily enough, so we have Trin Minar's documentary "What About China?" We have Violet Du Feng's and Zhao Qing's doc "Hidden Letters," which explores how two Chinese women are linked by the knowledge of an ancient secret language, and has this is kind of a detail that kind of stuck in my brain. Getting some of the press releases where it's got music by Leona Lewis. I
know that name from somewhere.
She's one of these pop idol type people who then got very successful.
Fair play to her then. I don't know much about that business, but
and the other one is about Hong Kong, Blue Island by Chan Si-woon, who I didn't realise this quite at first until I kind of looked at the selection in more detail. But he was he did have a film as part of the Fresh Wave. Which was always one that kind of stood out for me because actually it was a very straightly played mockumentary. It's called Being Rain, Representation and Will, but it was just basically these documentary filmmakers who suddenly find out that there's something weird going on whenever there is a protest, it always rains. So you need umbrellas.
Hence the umbrellas. Yes.
Which I always thought was actually great because it didn't kind of say which kind of side it was standing on. It was just this kind of wonderful weird. But this is very much more of a serious documentary. Blue Island. So it looks at political activism. It looks at the history of that in Hong Kong, and not just what's been going on recently, but it looks at people who came over from mainland China in the 70s. It looks at the 1967 riots were actually about labourers who were rebelling against the British government at that point in order to be recognised as Chinese.
Yeah.
But of course, unsurprisingly, it does come around to the situation now, and you do go for it, watching little cards come up saying, "Oh yeah, this person's still in custody, waiting there to arrive."
Okay, yeah.
I think it's the sort of thing we've seen a lot of, and we'll probably see a lot more of.
Very popular.
So, I mean, there's a couple of kind of surprising additions to, I mean, if you really want to call them any kind of connections to kind of East Asian, but I think the oldest one is the Bill Nye film Living, which is a remake of Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru. And I mean, when I was writing up my kind of quick summary for Eastern Kicks, the thing that kind of struck me was like, well, why is it? It's kind of set in the same time as the original film, kind of not more like a few years afterwards. Yeah. And you've had the pleasure of seeing a trailer. I haven't. But,
yeah, I've had the pleasure of seeing a trailer. It's a horrible trailer.
Bill Nye in it, and
Bill Nye,
and it should be coming from somewhere good. It's got because the script is by Kazu Ishiguro, who did Remains of the Day and Never Let Me Go. Produced by Stephen Woody, but
both those films are a bit pish. But no, the trailer's horrible. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about the trailer here, so I haven't seen the film. Will I? Probably not. To be fair, I think Bill Nighy's just. It's Shaun of the Dead guy. He's from Underworld. He always plays like an old vampire or undead guy or something, or like some old vaguely queer guy in romantic comedies. And the trailer for the film just looks like some kind of Love Actually type film or something like that. It's all very nice, but so much play on the sort of stiff upper lip British sort of gentleman type of guy who's I guess. For anyone who hasn't seen To Live, the Kurosawa film, which I'm not really a fan of anyway, I'm not going to say what's happening to him and stuff in the film and everything, but it just looked piss boring. He to be honest, he looked like a Tory politician or something like that in the trailer or anything like that, who was like a bit of Rees-Mogg type stuff. Like, I don't know, it seems like a bad time to release this film, and it is coming out very soon as well. But it's just watching that film, I felt loathing. That trailer, rather, I just felt loathing for him. To be honest,
and it does.
I don't know.
It does seem like an odd project. I mean, whether it's the right time or wrong time, it doesn't seem like it's ever the right time.
It's still like a rich old business dude. Still like a rich old white business dude who's coming to terms.
I guess
with
here we get into
life.
that sort of the baby boomer kind of films we get that are released. That people understand what's going on, and they've got some older people in there to watch, Best Marigold Hotel or whatever it's called. That kind of,
you're right, exactly. No, that's
it is that. It's probably aimed at that sort of market.
You're right, and that's kind of the shame, I suppose. I mean, not like I say, I'm not a massive Kurosawa fan, and especially not that film, but it has it's got a pedigree. It's got it's still like classic for people who like that, but. You're right. This film looks exactly bypassed all of that and just gone straight for that exotic marigold audience demographic rather than any kind of artistry. But it's only the trailer, and I'll probably never know because I won't watch the film. Sorry. Maybe you can watch it and review it for the kicks. Probably not.
This is the sound. I'm doing the sound of the X. I think I can miss that one. Maybe someone else on the team will go and see it. Anyway,
Phil,
and that's something.
Phil will pick it up. Phil will do it. He loves that.
I'll say the other kind of surprising inclusion is just because it has quite a well-known Filipino actress is Triangle of Sadness, which is. One of the other kind of, I guess they kind of try to describe it as one of the big tickets for the London Film Festival. Dolly de Leon, who has been in Verdict, History of Half with Lav Diaz, and also she's in the On the Job TV series.
Right.
Aswang as well. So she is really good in it. I don't want to give any spoilers away, but my only reservations are that the character is a little reduced to kind of stereotypes, whereas it's basically about sort of very not necessarily just posh people, but it is a social satire, and it's kind of somehow to me taking those stabs at people that have money is, or around that kind of wealth is fine, but then people that don't or from other countries is maybe less a good thing. But I don't want to say too much about that because that's kind of my take on it. And
I don't fancy that film. I mean, it looked like it had the same kind of level of commentary as The Dark Knight Rises, sort of against rich people and stuff, with old Bane ranting about the rich and stuff. But I don't know.
And it is very much from what I understand. I mean, I did see it. I did enjoy it, I have to say. It is very much the same thing as The Square. It is that same kind of.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So either that's your thing or it's not. It does play out, and it just gets more and more bizarre as it goes on. So it is pretty enjoyable, but it is some.
It's that hypocrisy. I mean, from a UK perspective, like the only people who will see that film will be the people who are actually rich most of the time anyway, who can afford like a £20 Curzon ticket, and that kind of thing. So for a critique of the rich being watched by mostly the rich and the upper middle class feeling, a little bit ironic about themselves, fuck off, man. Sorry, that's my take on it. That's my hot take. There you go. Having said that, if I get a free ticket for something, I might watch it, but.
Or there might be nothing else released at the cinema on that weekend, and then you'll probably go to it.
My God.
Yeah, I know what you're like. You probably will.
Avatar will be on. Avatar, well, I have been to worse, but Avatar might be on. There's non-stop. It's October. There's going to be lots of horror films, like re-released horror films. But it's, I don't know, that Triangle of Sadness, it is just that genre. Like when you said The Square, it just like, yes, okay, I know it's that kind of film. It's just, I know that's the kind of film for me which kills world cinema. It just makes.
Well, I mean, this isn't even world cinema because it is. I mean,
from a UK perspective. You're absolutely right. It's just I just mean the way these films are treated in the UK and stuff like that. And even when we get down to like screening like Hong Kong stuff like we do and everything like that, it's such a struggle to get anything foreign language past that subtitle sort of snobbery barrier. When films like this get released in the UK, they'll play up the sort of intellectual angle of it and everything like that, and it's just pretentious. Sorry. Anyway, I'm in danger of ranting. I'll stop.
I mean, so that's I mean, other outside of the kind of short films, I mean, that covers what is on, and I think we discussed this before, but the one thing that sort of stood out for me as like a surprising non-inclusion was the fact that it didn't have, because there's certain things you can always rely on at London Film Festival. There'll be a Tilda Swinton film or two, and there will be a Hirokazu Koreeda film. And there's no broker. As far as last time I looked at this, broker is coming out in the UK, but it was going to be released in March by Picture House.
Picture House have got it, yeah. Oh.
I didn't really even kind of know they put out a lot of films themselves, but. I think you can see why though. I mean, I think after what happened with Drive My Car, I guess maybe they're hoping for some kind of, because Drive My Car came out just after the London Film Festival stuff, right, and everything, and it did have previews at the London Film Festival.
It had so many screenings around and stuff, and it played around the UK for stuff, and it did not do well on its cinema release. And then it was and then it got all its Oscar stuff, and it was kind of re-released-ish again and everything. But by then, most people have seen it. So I imagine for something like Broker, I mean, it seems to have got a pretty good reception and stuff. So maybe they're hoping it's going to get some award season boost and stuff and release it properly for them. I mean,
and when do things have to be released? I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter in the UK, doesn't it? When do things have to, as long as it's come out in America. Before, if it does end up in award season or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. We don't really have anything to do with the award season in that respect. But I don't know. A lot of it ties back into, I think, what you were saying at the start and everything about like so many of these films getting released so soon afterwards. And I've just never thought that would be a good thing commercially, because given how many screenings there are, whether it's press screenings, the the screenings at the festival. Now some of these BFI London Film Festival screenings are around, even up to Glasgow. There's about 12 films, I think, screening up here at the same time. So you take all of that away from like a specialty box office film. I don't really.
In some ways, this comes to kind of maybe a good way to kind of summarize some of this as well. Talk a bit more about the London Film Festival, because they have, after the last couple of years with what was going on with COVID, and they went to a kind of very much less a physical screening model. We had it last year, but it was still a bit tentative. But they did kind of break out into doing this international release model as well. So which is fine. But as we said, for certain films, it's not going to mean anything really. It's not. It doesn't help them. It doesn't help an actual kind of proper kind of release outside of sort of previews.
Yeah.
And that's where people want to go with them. Which
if a film has a distributor, then I don't think there's any value of screening at London Film Festival, to be honest with you. I mean, even
and a lot of these films do. A lot of these films are.
They do.
Even not outside of the Asian films we're talking about, but we've got this situation where there are the films that are, the Netflix. I don't think we've got any Shudder films this year as we did last year, but there's stuff that's coming out with Mubi. Stuff that's going to be on Amazon Prime. There's all these things that are going to be at home. And, if that's the only place they're coming out, and it gives people a chance to see them on the big screen, maybe that's not such a bad thing. But also, it's not the sort of. I think for me, it's less to do with that than it is that it would be nice to see things coming from elsewhere. I think that's
agree.
My problem with it is it's perhaps becoming that sort of low hanging fruit that is fine, we can put that we can put them on the screen, and there's an argument for putting it on the screen. Fine, it's on a big screen. It might be released in a couple of cinemas and then chucked onto to Netflix or Prime, but
I completely agree. It just I think London Film Festival has always really struggled for an identity. In that kind of way. I mean, going back, if we go back about 8 years or something, it was more close to a Berlin or Rotterdam type of festival. And then it went to trying its best to be a commercial red carpet Hollywood type festival without the premieres, but still with some of the stars. And now it's neither one nor the other.
Last couple of years, they definitely, and maybe that came out of the films that were available, but they kind of doubled down on some of the more obscure films. Yeah. But as I said before, we said before, they're not necessarily in a way that works in synergy with the big gala presentations, and it just feels like and
that's where you need to curate stuff properly.
And I've said for years that actually, and I think less so this year, but in previous years at least, like sort of the stuff coming from South Asia, the Indian films, always felt like there was a bit more consideration around them. But I mean, when the BFI always has these different kind of ways it talks genres. There's always the journey section, which could be anything. It's always kind of, the love, the cult, the dare. But within those, you've got the programmers who do the horror. You've got this, and I think even there, I think some of the horror has been better in previous years.
Definitely. It's been much better. The selection this year is not exciting. I would say as a horror fan, it's not exciting, to be honest with you. There's just nothing about anything in the program which is really ambitious or has an identity or anything to it to me, and it just seems to be like some assumption that people in London are just going to go out and pay to watch these films.
Well, I mean, which seems to
which they do kind of, to be honest.
Because,
I agree.
Because actually, if anything, these screenings are sold out when we know that cinemas are really still struggling, and actually even press screenings seem to be struggling to get many people to turn up, and those are free.
And it's sold out at expensive prices as well. A lot of the prices are stupid.
I mean, we for years, I kind of complained about, you could get decent price tickets when they were screening at the BFI, but other venues were more expensive.
Exactly.
Kind of felt like they kind of bumped them up, all of them up to about the same price. Kind of did. So So my as kind of full disclosure, my wife is going to a lot of films, and that was very expensive. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens now with the London Film Festival. But
because they've changed her. She's what's her name is Trisha
Tuttle as well. Yeah. Which so she hasn't been in that position for very long.
No, not at all. And so you're right. It'll be interesting to see, because it's not an awards festival. It's not, because nobody cares about it. It comes too late in the calendar. It's not a genre festival as such. It's not like a Rotterdam art experimental festival. So I can see why it struggles for an identity. But flip-flopping between, sort of easy pickings for bigger films when they're coming out soon anyway. And as you say, like some obscure choices which are not programmed enough to really attract the kind of attention they should get. Like it's a shame. Like, I mean, especially with the ticket price and stuff. I haven't actually been to anything for London Film Festival for years. Even like with the press stuff, I can't really remember going to stuff when I've had a press pass. And the online library, there's never anything in it because distributors don't really want to put stuff into an online library, understandably. So the whole thing is. It's a shame. I hate to say it because I don't like Edinburgh, but Edinburgh Film Festival is much better in terms of its programming, and it's got a much more sort of free chance to actually pick films which are not directly tied to distributors, or it's more akin to like a Rotterdam type thing.
Yeah,
and Glasgow is also more interesting.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they've always seemed easily more considered in what they pick, and also, I mean, they're both at kind of better times of the year, I think, in terms of.
Well, that's true. That is true. That is true as well.
But maybe that's that there are ways around it, and it's not.
But it shouldn't. Yeah, for London, like I guess the thing. Yeah, it's just people. The whole thing it exists for is to see. Okay, maybe we can see the film from Cannes. Maybe we can see the film from Venice. Or in reality, you're going to get the program from like Toronto and stuff. It's just. There's not much point. It's not much point of it as a film festival in the way we might understand it. I mean, we know how much work goes into curating stuff for our own, our own screenings and everything, and there just doesn't seem to be any of that for London. It's just picking. This is what was at these other festivals. It's very rare to get someone which hasn't screened somewhere already. To an extent, that's unavoidable. They should be still more forward-looking or a bit more ambitious. Because.
Because you would have more of an opportunity to do that than
well, it's not. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, knowing the way things work and stuff, or to the extent we know how things work with the London Film Festival, I do think it's difficult for the programmers. So none of this is attack on the programmers who may or may not be.
We should make that very clear.
It's definitely not. It's the structure of the festival and the direction of the festival and the ambition of the festival. It's not. I'm sure the programmers themselves are probably frustrated, and we know some programmers who've left the festival and stuff. So I know it's not an easy situation and stuff. It's a weird festival, man. But as you say, bottom line is the tickets all sell out, and they get the people going, whether it's the tourists or people who just like going for an event and everything, which is still absolutely fair enough. And I think part of it is just.
Which is great as well, because actually that's better than it was 5 years ago when it was really, really struggling. So things have changed.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. It'd just be nice if
I think
a film festival which really mattered on a global scale, which nobody anywhere cares about London Film Festival. Yeah. And, when we talk to like distributors about anything, I can guarantee nobody is going to say, "Oh, we'll wait to see if London wants to play us." Like you can guarantee that nobody cares about it, and that's a shame. We have all these, iconic festivals around the world, whether it's your Berlin's or Venice's, everything like that, and. I honestly think Edinburgh and Glasgow are ranked higher than London in terms of what people actually care about globally, which is a shame. Sorry, it's turning into a rant, I guess. But it's more just that frustration, I think. That's why I'm kind of slagging them off a bit, because it would be great if they were, fulfilling more of the role which they really should be. It's the nation, the United Kingdom's like biggest film festival, and it would be great if there was something about it which is making other people around the world like say, okay, it's London Film Festival time, what screening? Well, it's like, anytime like Venice or one of these other festivals is on, I know everything that's playing at them. So I'll go through the program. When London comes up, I don't really care. That's a shame. That's
sad.
It is sad. And you will. It doesn't. And as you say, like it doesn't diminish the fact that there are still good films playing, but it's just that it should be something. It should be, more ambitious. It should have an identity. It should be like people from around the world are intrigued to know what's at London this year, waiting for the announcement. I mean, when was the last time you were actually excited to hear the announcement of this is the opening film? Oh, it's another film which is by Netflix or something. It's just, it's a shame. It's a shame. That's all.
It's a shame.
It's a shame. We know that it's not easy getting funding for stuff in the UK. It is a difficult situation, but still. Yeah. Anyway, not many Asian films. Slim pickings.
So, I guess we should remind our listeners that the festival is taking place from the 5th to the 16th of October. Hopefully, this podcast will be going out as the festival starts, but Apple Podcasts doesn't always play ball with that.
How much of the rants you want to edit out.
And you can always go to the BFI website to see all the listings and what is available from them. So that's it for now. Don't forget you can find all of our previous episodes on Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now and you'll never miss an episode. But for now, cheers!
Cheers!